Hello, welcome to Angelique Foods. Today we are preparing stew, homemade stew. And as you can see, our recipes are available. Here we have 5 cooking spoons of oil, chopped onions. We have 10 cooking spoons of freshly ground tomato, and we have 3 tablespoons of pepper, and we have 3 tablespoons of Maggi powder, 2 cooking spoons of tomato puree, tomato paste or tin tomato as you will. We have 2 tablespoons of thyme, 2 tablespoons of curry, and 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, 2 tablespoons of salt, and of course our chicken stock to go with it, chicken stock. So the pot, as you can see, is here on the fire, and it's hot. So we'll begin by adding our groundnut oil, already measured. Groundnut oil we add to the pot. Yes, it's sizzling hot, so we'll just leave it to cook just a teeny bit, say like 5-10 seconds, because the pot is already hot. So the groundnut oil is now sizzling hot. Because we don't want to burn our onions, we now have to add our onions. Chopped onions. As you add, you stir. Chopped onions, you stir your onions. You don't want them getting burnt. They are fresh. Chopped onions. Now that we've added our onions to flavor the oil, we will now add our fresh tomatoes. Fresh tomatoes, remember we are using 10 cooking spoons of fresh tomatoes. Cooking spoons of fresh tomatoes. So we will now allow it to cook and dry that fresh water a bit before we begin to add our tomato paste, tomato puree or tin tomatoes as you will. This is because you need to allow the fresh tomatoes to dry the sour taste that it has. Most people prepare the stew without allowing the tomatoes to dry. What happens is that you have this sour taste in your mouth and it changes the taste of the stew. So you will give it time for the stew to dry. We'll be right back when the tomato is dry before we add our tomato paste and other things. We'll be right back. Hello, welcome back. So as you can see that the stew is coming up, and now the water that you saw initially is dried up. So that's how you prepare your stew. To remove the sour taste, you allow it to dry up the water from the fresh tomatoes. You can now add the tomato puree or tin tomatoes as the case may be. So we are now adding our tin tomatoes. Remember, it was 2 spoonfuls of tin tomato puree that we are adding. So you gradually stir it until all is fully blended in there. and it gives you, it thickens the stew. So you can see how beautiful the stew is. Now we'll add our pepper. We are using 3 tablespoons of pepper. 3 tablespoons of pepper. For this, and we stir, so mix up. With my tomatoes, I blended in some ginger. Some of us like ginger. You can blend in ginger. Some like garlic. When you're blending your tomatoes, you can blend in garlic, ginger, or some other spices as the case may be. So now that we've added our fresh pepper, I want to get a closer look. You can see. We will now add our spices. We'll have spices, curry. You can see our spices: curry, thyme, nutmeg, and salt. So to begin with, so we are going to add our thyme, nutmeg, and of course the curry. These are medicinal things that you need. Their health benefits cannot be quantified. So you stir everything in. You'll notice that I did not add salt yet. Like I said, I love thyme and love curry enough in my food. So I'll get a closer look. I will allow it to simmer down before I will add salt and Maggi seasoning. So we'll be right back. I'm going to allow it to simmer down a little before we will come back. So we'll be right back. The stew, as you can see, is looking beautiful and great and gorgeous. So we'll now add our salt, just little at a time. As you test, you will now know whether you add all the 2 tablespoons or not. That's how you cook. You have to add little by little and test it. Don't forget we are using a chicken stock that we have already used. So now we add our granulated Maggi season. Like I said, a little at a time. When you test, you will now know whether to add all. So a little at a time. Now it is boiling out that it can scare you. It's time to add the chicken stock. So already measured chicken stock. You can see the chicken stock already measured. So we are adding the chicken stock. So it dilutes it a little, the thickness, but you will leave it stir a little, stir after stirring. Now you will test to see if it is tasty and if it's all the ingredients are proportionately combined. So we are just going to test a little. Hold the phone for me if you will. Just there. Hold it there. There. So with my teaspoon, I'm going to test. This is good. So back to the stew. You can see that I like it. I like what I have achieved. So I'm stirring finally, and that's it. So we'll see you when we serve the stew with our already prepared white rice. White rice, if you want to know how to boil it, is very simple. So we've already prepared the white rice, boiled the white rice to be served with the stew we just made. So thank you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. After all the things we added, we cooked on a medium heat, and you can see it's not burnt. So when you have finished everything cooked on a medium heat, so now I'm turning off the heat. So I'm now dishing. So I'm now dishing. We are Africans. We love generous amount of stew, and yeah, and now that's enough. I'm now going to add some chewables to it. So we have some fried chicken that we are adding to the meat, and of course we'll add boiled egg to it. If you like, you can. So there is our stew and our rice. Please remember to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.